the name is at homeless. Like, what do you mean by that? Like, could you elaborate more on like the brief, like your meanings? Like, what does it mean for you?
So actually for our project, the word homeless is actually a play on word, and we actually just use this project, Zero House Yen, as an example of the concept of the project. But we're not building a house for homeless person or someone who doesn't have a home, but rather we try to ask you to explore, the definition of a home. How can you make a home as less as it could be, and so with that, and also in response to the brief of BRUT, going back to rawness and the most fundamental
of living, of
things of human, right? So we like you guys to explore that definition, push it to the limit, and also I think as an example, homeless shelter that we seen in the case study, it's just one example of things that we can see, but these people have no background in design, and for us, we like to challenge that notion that this design knowledge is only accessible to a certain group of people, or like designer or someone with background, but actually everyone is a designer in their own definition. So for example, today we went to Talat Noi area, right? We like you guys to go see
the creativity,
the creativity by ordinary, everyday, people who just trying to solve problems that they face every day in their everyday lives. And Talat Noi is actually very interesting because it's accumulation of lots of culture. It's also a commercial zone as well as residential zone. So I think you see lots of diversity in culture, ideas, and how aesthetic as well, like how people define home for themselves and make use of things around them. And if you see from the project that we show you, these are just things that they find around them without limited or none of the resources that we have at all, or even knowledge in this sense. We're talking about
Like adaptability?
Yeah,
right.
Adaptability, and also just questioning fundamentalness of being a human, right? People need to survive in the end, and we believe that everyone has ability to design, and I think it's more and more important these days for us to not only to use this as an alternative resource of creativity and I guess knowledge outside of textbook or the classic canon of architecture knowledge that we learn in classes, and this is just like alternative knowledge for you guys to have as a tool to move forward in as a designer. And some of these structure for us, like today, as you see, like all these little details, things that we never noticed before. I think this is something that is very true to the nature of people who live there or use the space. And sometimes when we learn in class or go into the real working world, sometimes we don't really think about these kind of things much. And this is just like kind of a stepping stone, starting point of maybe appreciating things around you. Also have fun, like looking at your urban environment and have fun, with all these kind of little details in everyday life that we can appreciate and learn from.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of fascinating as well, right? Because like even though like the project that we're doing, like homeless, we're trying to almost like minimize like what the lease of like home or house could be. But like you also mentioned like earlier, like this morning, I think maybe like about like maybe like how human interacts with like things around them, like architecture surrounding like environment, and also like when they stay or like live in a place, they almost like create like this their own like aesthetics to create like their own sense of belongings, right?
I think that word is key, right? Like sense of belonging. It's something that inert to us. Sometimes it's difficult, very difficult to explain. But you see that people express it through, you know, the way that they problem solve in everyday lives. And at the same time, I think as people, we somehow, in the end, try to make things beautiful without even realizing it. But the word aesthetic or beauty is in the eyes of the beholder, right? So it's very specific to people and to each person. And I think that every single point of view is commendable and also something that we can learn from. Even though it's not our aesthetic, but we can learn from others people's aesthetic as well, which I think is very interesting. Things that we sometimes doesn't see as beautiful, it is beautiful to them, you know, and who are we to judge, right? Like, which is beautiful, but it's suited to the place, suited to the context that it's in.
Because like sometimes we could like learn from the place that we never thought we could have learned from, right? Like since like today we have went to like Talat Noi, like I think I've seen like all of like these furnitures that they have like adapt like using like different materials. Like I've never seen before. It's kind of odd at first, but like the more I look into it and like trying to like understand like their context, I think like it's like super unique, like how they manage to create like their own version of like these like even like mass-produced manufactured chair. Like they like this whole neighborhood like managed to create like almost like 10 versions of it, or maybe even more.
Yeah, and I think that's like important lesson that we like you guys to take away today. And I think you never look at when you walk around the city, you will never look at the things the same way anymore. I think that's with that. I think that's we're already on the first step of success in the project. I think that you guys even to notice that and moving forward, this will be like very important kind of.
And we hope like you guys gonna have a new tool to design maybe in the future.
Yeah, we
or
definitely learn
like,
from this.
and very basic tool is observation.
Yeah, and accessible too. I think sometimes we never thought about accessibility of knowledge, of resources, because to be honest, we're so lucky. We're in such a privileged position in the world. And so I think this is also practice empathy as well in maybe such a ugly, beautiful world that we're living but at this point, but this is just a practice of understanding others as well. And I think that will make you us a very better designer, I think.
Yeah.
Or if you're not a designer, you will have this as a tool for life and when you look at other people.
Yeah, this is like just the first day and I already feel so inspired and excited for the project to come from our,
We'll have fun.
Thank you.
We'll have so much fun, I think. I already saw you guys starting kind of scavenging the material already. You got a
We
good
already
start.
look around to find the place and ideas and that.
So wait until you get mystery box tomorrow.
Thanks, Coca.
ค่ะ